Hi everybody, I hope you're having a good day. It's Friday, thank goodness it's Friday. We're headed for the weekend. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So I want some answers. First of all, would you rather have me do this standing up than sitting down? I have a stand-up desk, but I thought, when I looked at the difference between my ability to communicate with you standing up and sitting down, I actually thought that sitting down would be just as good. So I'd just like some feedback on that, okay? Hey Steve, hey James, glad to have you guys join. We got a lot of questions today, and I thought because there were so many, it might also be better to do them sitting down. But if you think it's going to be better for me to stand up in the future, I'd like you to tell me, okay? I know Sean will. Okay, good. So let's start with the first question. The submitter is Adam Drake, and his question is, I lead a team of financial advisors. I own the company, and I will be hiring an assistant in the next few months. This will be our only non-advisor employee. Should I focus my hire on serving existing clients / operations, which I feel we aren't being as consistent as we should be, or solely on sales and marketing, or a mix? Does hiring a jack of all trades ever really work, or should I just commit to either sales or service? I understand if I commit to one or the other, these are different types of people I'm looking for. Also, what questions can I ask myself and my team to get more clarity? So you start out, Adam, by saying that you're going to hire an assistant. Now, is that an assistant salesperson? Is that an executive assistant? Is it a client services assistant? And so you have to decide which of those three persons you are hiring. If you're trying to hire a sales assistant, then they aren't going to be an executive assistant, and they aren't going to be an assistant on client services. If you're hiring a client services assistant, then that assistant will be the same way, focused on her task or his task. Now, there is some bleed over, I'm sure, between client service and executive assistant, and my executive assistant really does both. But I have a really teeny tiny business, and if I were growing it, I would get separate people for each one of those tasks. What questions can you ask your fellow workers? Well, one is, what do you see as our biggest need? What do you see as our biggest need? Me, knowing a little bit about your business from talking to you, it seems to me you need an executive assistant who can help you with all the administrative details of your current clients and also your ongoing sales efforts. But that's up to you and the team, and you're going to have to ask the team which is better. Okay. Hey Nick, glad to see you're watching. You should be out there installing air conditionings. The next question, Alyssa Tambazi. I am in the process of having my website built. I'm having a hard time deciding if I should have the pricing of my services on the website, or if I should only have the option to schedule a consult first and only discuss it on the consultation. If possible, I would like to attract clients who can afford my services, but I do not want people to get intimidated by my pricing before they understand everything I have to offer and the value of my services. So Alyssa, I wouldn't put the price of your services on your website. You have a situation where you're customizing your services for every prospect, and so it would be impossible to you to give a price without knowing a lot about the person that you are going to be servicing. And you're going to have a different price for a 1,000 employee company than you are for a 1 employee company. So no, don't put the price on the website. And then entice them into meeting with you by offering something free that they would value. And I know you do that, but for those who are listening who don't, when you get a lead from your website, or if you want a lead from your website, it's always good to offer something free. And if you're an internet provider or even a product and service provider, you can look into ClickFunnels, and we have experts in our group on those that can help you to develop those. But no, the short answer is no, don't put the price of your product or services on the website, okay? Let me say one other thing about it. So how do you differentiate yourself from the competition? As I work with more and more people, I realize that most of them never think about how do I differentiate myself from the competition. Even the big companies don't think that many times. But here's the prospect out there trying to decide whose product they're going to choose. And don't be naive enough to think that they don't look for more than one provider. We all do. We've been taught to do that by our mothers. Jiffy peanut butter, Skippy peanut butter, Kroger peanut butter, right? And so anyway, you've got to learn how to differentiate your product. I'm not sure you can do that on the website, but you can do it verbally, I guarantee you. And I've talked a lot about this in Pro Code videos. If you haven't looked at those, you should. And if you liked them, you should buy them, because you can never get everything from them in one setting. But anyway, what I was going to say is, on price, we usually talk about being the low-cost provider, not the lowest cost of entry, but the low-cost provider. There is the price of the product, and then there's the cost of the product. The price of the product is the amount you pay. The cost of the product also involves customer service. Is there any? It also involves the quality of the product, repairs, or improvements. There is a whole argument on Pro Code sales about, pricing and that objection. Okay, next. Allison Koyanagi. Did I say that wrong? Is your opinion for my creative marketing agency, would you recommend having set prices for packages? Currently, I have custom pricing for all my clients. I have packages that are a good starting point for clients, but they usually end up asking for a custom package anyway. So I'm wondering, in your experience, what type of pricing is best? So Allison answers her own question, and I'm sure some of you are going, duh. But seriously, Allison, if you're customizing every package now, there's no need to have stock pricing. You can say, typically we charge this for that kind of service, but nobody can price a service like yours without knowing the details of the business. And then once you have the details of the business, you can give them a more accurate price. And again, remember that when you price, you're in a competitive world. And if you don't differentiate your product from others by something other than price, then the prospect is left no choice but then to go with the cheapest provider. Here's another one from Allison. How should I structure How should I structure free consultations for maximum efficiency for both the potential client and myself? I just had a call with a potential client that had the expectation that a free consultation with me also means that I would provide a free in-depth analysis for all of their social media accounts and a free restructuring plan for their current marketing strategy and a new car. No, she didn't put that in. They desperately need help, but I decided on the spot that they weren't the right fit since they were unwilling to tell me more information about their business and goals unless I analyzed their entire marketing plan first and provided advice. This is an isolated incident and hasn't happened before, but maybe you can suggest a more efficient way of providing a free consultation. Well, you could start out by saying that this is what the free consultation includes on the call, and this is what it doesn't include. And I'm happy to help with you. And if at the end of the call it seems like we should work together, then we can talk about more specific pricing for the specific things that you need done. Does that sound fair? Does that sound fair? Okay. Because, you know, what you're doing in the free consultation is trying to entice them to work with you. And I wonder, Allison, if you have a good close to that meeting. So a good close to that meeting would be something like this. Have I helped today? Yes. Great. Well, the next step is for us to talk about a permanent arrangement where I can provide you with ongoing service and help you grow your business. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, this is how we schedule that. Okay? Um, Edwin, Darius. At what point should a company have a board of directors? Is it okay to not have a board of directors? What benefit have you seen once your company established a board of directors? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a board of directors. So nobody on this call should have a board of directors, but everybody on this call should have an advisory board. A board of directors is very formal and they can fire you or hire you. You don't want that. In addition to that, a board of directors is usually involved with a company that is much larger, let's say 50 to 10,000, 100,000 employees. So when you get bigger, then we can talk about a board, how to choose it, what the board's responsibilities are, and that's called governance. But right now, nobody needs to worry about that. So, but you should have an advisory board no matter how big you are. And if you'll Google advisory board, you'll find a lot of articles. I have a file on advisory boards, and I help companies I work with to get them put in place. But if you Google, I made that word up, Google. If you Google advisory boards, then you will find a lot of good articles on how to structure that, why to have an advisory board, and how to meet and greet. So I work with a realtor. She has an advisory board, and they meet quarterly. It's usually a lunch meeting or a cocktail hour meeting. She tries to hold it to an hour and a half. She usually provides some kind of refreshments, and she has this very specific agenda. But the real reason she has the advisory board is so that these people will refer to her other people to buy and sell houses. And that's really an advantage of an advisory board. But also you can get an advisory board to help you that's experienced. Like Edwin, I'd love to be on your advisory board, and I sort of am, because I'm very familiar with the money order business and the check cashing business. And as you know, I lost about $1 million in the check, a little bit more, in the check cashing business, trying to create a check cashing machine. But the point is, the advisory board is good. The real board of directors is not something that you need to do right now. Good question, Edwin. Okay. Next from Rawa Haley. Hey, Rawa. Hello. I have a couple of questions on sales. One, what important details do sales scripts need to include for a service-based company that sales agents can use company-wide? So the answer to that in depth is on Pro Code Sales. And it is in depth. Okay. And so this says bring them on camera. Am I supposed to be bringing you on camera? I don't know what that means. I've never seen that before. Bring them on camera. Okay. Now you're all on camera. So anyway, what I was going to say is there's an in-depth explanation of how to write a sales script in Pro Code Sales. And I don't know if you have been writing a lot of sales scripts or why they would ask you to do that, if you have a lot of expertise in that. But I'm not supposed to say, I'll be glad to help you with that. But if you go through Sean, he can arrange for me to help you with that, okay? And the other thing I was going to say is we need to think about a company-wide sales script getting implemented, because many times you can write the script and it never gets implemented. Nobody uses it. And so as a result, it's an exercise in futility. But there are also some things you can do to make sure it is implemented, okay? Let's think about the second question, which is what should you charge? I don't know. It seems like $500. If you're going to impact their sales organization, it should be at least $500. Much more than that, even in the big companies, probably is going to seem a little bit onerous if you're a true expert in writing sales scripts. Okay. Hope I answered that. It's something I do for companies all the time, though. Roland Bernath. He says, I am at the point in my life where I'm putting in work, I am seeing results, yet I constantly get distracted with mostly social media, with friends, and with people doing things and living their best life. I am fighting with hustle mentality versus you are only in your 20s. Once I used to be very outgoing, center of attention, yet this previous half a year, I've been building and developing our family business and myself. It feels good, yet I get drained into some depression, and some of the days I'm thinking, is this really who I am? Is this quarter life crisis? Does anyone else experience these things? Sorry if it's not business related. Well, Roland, we all know that your attitude is part of business. And we're all more productive when our attitude is up here than when it's down here. And so there are tricks of thought you can use to keep your attitude up here. So during that time of my life when people were going to the beach and they were going on trips to Europe and they were taking 2-week vacations to Mexico and they were headed to Cancun for fun and games, I always just said this to myself, and you have to make this decision. I can't make it for you. But this is what I said. I'm doing the things now that other people won't, so that at some point in the future, I can do the things that other people can't. You know, in America today, at the age of 65, only 3 people can pay their own bills. The other 97 are dependent upon the government, upon their family, upon the church, upon charity, or some other source of income to pay their bills. Now, I don't know why that happens, because I'll bet $1 if we ask them in their 20s, when you get to be 65, do you want to be able to pay your own bills? I'm sure that 100 out of 100 would say, yes, I want to be in that group. So it isn't that they plan to fail. I think it's that they fail to plan. An immediate gratification of your desire will limit what you're able to do in your future life. Because guess what? I wanted to do those same things. Everybody on this call would love to go to the beach. Everybody on this call would love to go on vacation and eat great meals and drink great wine. Everybody on this call would love to see the 7 wonders of the world or go on an African safari. Everybody on this call would love to do that. But the point is, most of us on this call are not doing that. And the reason for that is because we want to be able to pay our own bills at the age of 65. And at some point, we want no limit on what we can do in life. And I say all the time, think big, but you can't think big if you've got a short-term mentality. You have to think long-term, think really big. Think Howard Schultz big. Howard Schultz is the CEO of Starbucks. They've been in business about 35 years now. The first 17 years he was in business, he built up to 3 stores. He was doing the things that other people didn't want to do in order to be able to do at some point in his life the things other people couldn't do. Forbes named him in 2019 as one of the 400 richest people in America, worth over $1 billion. So this is the mentality entrepreneurs need to have, or they need to get out of the entrepreneur business. And if you can't make yourself overcome this desire to go party with your friends and play versus work 12 hours a day, then get another profession. Get another profession, because that's what entrepreneurs do that are successful. And then there are those people that are entrepreneurs that just like to say, I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, good. You know, I'd say an entrepreneur is someone who's built a business with $1 million in revenue. And if you haven't done that yet, you're an entrepreneur in training. Okay? Next. This is a question. I hope that helped, Roland. Next. Shelly Merrill. Hi, Shelly. She asks a question. Currently having trouble with keeping up on all of the tasks that need to get done. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Club. I would like to hear the various mentors give their time and task management secrets, okay? The number one thing everybody is told to do, the first thing in every time management class, book, or article that I've been involved in, is to get a to-do list written out on paper, not in your computer, on paper. My friend David Vandewater, he's the CEO of a $30 billion hospital company. He does it on 3x5 cards so that he limits it to the stuff he can get done. Sometimes he says he used both sides. He carries it in his shirt pocket. You can carry it in your purse. But there are two times to do your to-do list. One is in the morning before the day starts. That's what I do. I get up early. And two, in the evening before you go to bed, so that when you do get up, you're ready to hit the ground running. And so this is the first secret of time management. Second secret of time management, according to the research, is do not multitask. Focus on one thing, get it done, and then move on to the next. Third is to prioritize your to-do list. Shelley, your to-do list is too long to get everything done in one day. Every day, your to-do list is bleeding over. I just know it. And we've never talked about this. But at least you can prioritize your to-do list with the things you know you can get done that day, right? So on my to-do list today was this video. I knew I was going to get it done. And when I get done, I'm going to take out my to-do list and I'm going to draw a line through it. And there's some sense of satisfaction in drawing a line through it and some sense of confidence that you can manage your time. But another time management technique that I've read in research, and I'm not good at this, but that is check your email in the morning before your day starts, check it at lunch, and check it at the end of the day. And you say, oh, I couldn't do that, customer service issues. You know, the truth of the matter is you've set the standard for customer service. Most people will be happy with a response to an email within 24 hours. Certainly they will be happy with a response to an email by the sundown rule. In other words, by the end of the day. And you can do that using that 3 times a day technique. Stay off social media during the day. That is something I'm pretty good at. Here I am on social media. But I'm not checking social media during the day for messages or posts or anything else. I'm doing it at the end of the day or early in the morning before my day starts. Hope that helps, Shelley. I can still help you with sales. Kristen Lattis. How many times is too many times to follow up? I had 2 conversations in the DMs and one girl booked a call with me and the other is still making a decision, I guess, on whether to book a call. I followed up 4 times with both and neither is answering the messages, and I'm adding urgency saying I only have 2 spots available in July, but still nothing. I really want to work on these projects as they are my ideal clients and both want big projects done. And what her business is selling on Facebook Messenger and getting them to book showing up to their calls. Okay? So when you say you follow up, I don't know what you mean. But if you mean when you say follow up that you send them an email, that's at the bottom of my list of follow up. If you say you send them a text, that's one better. And if you say you got on the phone and called them, that's even better. There are different levels of follow up. And, you know, a phone call, sadly, is still the best way to follow up on people and also creates the most urgency with the person that you're calling. She took enough time to call me, and so I need to respond to that. It's one thing to read an email. It's another thing to listen to a voicemail of somebody with a sense of urgency in their voice. If email sold as well as personal conversation, we wouldn't go out or on sales calls, we wouldn't make telephone sales calls, okay? So I hope that helps. But how many times is too many? I don't think it's too many. So what's the worst thing that can happen? She says, you pestered me to death, right? That's the worst thing that can happen. I'm not going to do business with you. Well, let me tell you something. She wasn't going to do business with you anyway. That's why she wasn't calling you back. So don't kid yourself. There is nothing wrong with follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. And many times I've bought on the 10th or 12th time that somebody has reached out to me because I'm busy, you know, and my agenda is not the salesperson's agenda. And remember that these 2 women you're trying to reach, their agenda is not your agenda. You know, your agenda is, I got to get a decision on this project. Their agenda is, I got to get my work done. I have to service my customers. I've got to take care of my family. Oh, and by the way, I do need to get back eventually to Kristen, right? Okay. Next. Brad Coleman again. Hello, thank you for your time and experience we all value. My question is Brown Noser. My question is, when pricing out new products, how would you start the pricing? My apparel is higher end and I want to be comparable to other high-end brands, except my name isn't where their name is. Can you give me some advice on how you start your pricing structure for your company and products? And that is, his product is e-commerce, apparel, and brand recognition. Okay? So, Brad, I can't really answer that question very well because I'm not in retail clothing sales, and I never have been. But there are people in the group that can help you with that and answer it better than I can. In general, I would start at the lowest price possible to make a profit, and as demand for my product grew, I would raise the price. I still remember people going to work when polo was not well known and being able to buy polo at an affordable price, and now never even bothering to go look at polo because for me the price is not worth the product. So anyway, another idea might be to look at some brand history. Another idea might be to talk to some people in your industry that have created successful brands and go that direction. Okay, I hope that helped, Brad. Okay, Adam Drake again. Good question. And his business is the financial advisor business, remember? What are the best channels for making initial contact with qualified leads in a situation where we have multiple ways to contact them? How quickly should we be trying to reach out the second or third time? What does the data show to be most effective? So Adam, XANT, write that down, XANT. They have a white paper on their website you can pick up on sales cadence, and it will give you the exact research and the data that you can use, and it's excellent. But here, from a general standpoint, a cadence means that you're touching your prospect in different ways. And in contracts, for example, when we get a new prospect, we try to touch them 10 times in the first week, okay? And the more you touch them in a shorter period of time, the better. But, you know, we send an email, then we get on the phone, we leave a message, then we send another email, then we get on the phone, we leave a message, then we send another email, different content, of course, each time, and we call them again. And we will call them 4 or 5 times the first week they're in our system in order to get a hold of them, and we will also send them 4 or 5 emails during that same time. Here's an interesting thing about reaching people that applies to everybody on this video. If you will call somebody twice in the same day, you should improve your odds by 100%, right? You call them twice, that's 100% improvement. But the statistics show that you actually improve your odds of reaching them by 168% if you call them twice in the same day. So all the companies that I'm involved with, both financially and as a coach, I get them to call the prospect twice the same day, and it works out better. Okay? Hope that helps. Next. Cadence is the key word, Adam. Cadence. Research cadence. Okay? Here we have Yolindi D. Guvia. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that right. I got the Yolindi part right. Okay? She has a custom pillow business that she sells over the internet. Y'all better get on the internet and order some of her pillows. They're fantastic. Okay? Question asked, would you suggest a gradual increase in prices or a one-time price increase across the board and let things settle? So what I like to do is incremental pricing, small bites. You know, it's the truth. If you put a frog in a cold pot of water and you turn on the heat underneath the pot, the frog will never jump out and will be boiled alive. And the reason for that is the frog doesn't sense the gradual increase in temperature as you raise the heat in the water. And the same thing is sort of true with people. If you slowly raise the price and you do it in odd increments, then most people don't complain or notice it. Okay? Let's see. He said, then Yolindi goes on. I've always had a hard time pricing my products and services correctly. I've researched online formulas on pricing and looked at other retailers. However, I know my prices need to be higher. My customers get an excellent product and customer service, so I know my product can stand by a higher ticket price. I feel that a higher ticket price will reflect a quality product better and in turn produce a better customer and return business. Okay? So, I'm with you, Yolandi. So you should raise your prices. I don't think I would do it in one fell swoop, but I mean, a bigger increase, but I would start raising my prices. Okay? Here's Alexander Haig. That's a famous name, Secretary of State, or maybe Secretary of Defense. Question they ask: Hi, mentors. I had a Skype call with AkaShawnThomas about a month ago on what I thought would be how to approach my business as a personal trainer coming back after the coronavirus. He asked me an important question: should you even be offering that product in such a highly saturated field? This is really long, so I'm going to paraphrase it. Alexander decides to get out of the personal coaching business, and he decides instead to become an entrepreneur with some other product, but he doesn't know what other product or service that he should be providing. And I don't either, but I do know this: you should be looking for something that will maximize your effort in terms of reward. So here's an example. I had a ATM business with 500 employees. We were doing about 60 million in business, and we were making about $6 million in profit. And we sold that business in a competitive auction for $32 million. We took another business in contracts that was a SaaS model, software as a service, and we had 180 employees when we sold it, and we sold it for $150 million, and we were making less than $1 million in income. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that the software business was any harder than the ATM business? Let me tell you, it wasn't. Putting in the same number of hours every day. In fact, if anything, the ATM business was harder, but it paid better to have a software-based service model. So my point is, whatever you decide to do, make sure you're going to maximize the reward for your effort. And Sean gave you good advice. Why be a personal trainer? There's no recurring revenue, and there's no continuous commitment on the part of your customers. And unless you own a gym, you're always working in somebody else's environment. So anyway, I'm glad you decided to do that. And Alexander, I know you'll find the right thing. Here we have a question from Tomislav Kozasinski. I did get that right. I've defined my target customer as business owners of funded startups or medium companies that build internal use software or B2C apps. I have few core services. Let me just read it right. I have a few core services I'd like to provide: user experience audit of their product, talent out staffing, how to approach those guys who are usually off limits without being a sleazy car salesman guy. I know they have problems, but I'm not sure they know they have problems. I have proven record of saving companies like that hundreds of thousands of dollars in yearly expenses. So I think Tomislav is saying, how do I approach companies in a B2B, B2C environment in a professional manner so that I can help them? And of course, that begins with Pro Code Sales, because that's what that is. And if you'll commit to memory the information in Pro Code Sales and constantly challenge yourself to do it better and better and get more closely aligned with what we teach in Pro Code Sales, you'll have the answer to your question. But it starts with a prospect list, the name of somebody you're going to call and a phone number, and a sales script for a phone approach, and the answers to objections to them meeting with you. And that's the beginning. So anyway, I hope that helps you answer your question. Here we have another question from Allison Koyanagi. I think I got that right. How do you properly communicate how your services provide value to their business? Yeah, let's take the next 3 days to talk about that one. Digital marketing agency. I have issues with one of my clients who recently changed the chair of their board. The new I'm coming. I'll be right there. Hang on. Excited. I was pounding on the desk and my iPad didn't like it. But that's okay. My iPad is not in charge. I am. Okay. There we go. I'm back. We can edit that out, can't we, Rick? Anyway, back on Allison's question. What she's saying is that she has a board of director member, a new chairman, who doesn't buy into the value of her product or service. Well, Allison, the only answer to that question really is for you to meet with that person and convince that person of the value of your services, okay? And if you'll do that, you know, you'll solve all your problems. And if you can't, the next best thing is to get a champion on the board and talk to that champion about how you can win this new chairman of the board over, all right? And your next alternative is to go find another client, I guess, okay? So, next, Steve Roush. He says, how can I teach myself to adjust from a freelance mindset to a more consistent business leader mindset? I have a media company and we offer a long list of services. Many are specific to high-end imagery for commercials or live events. And we are usually called in for jobs as they happen. Every day is different as each job is custom to the project at hand. So if I had a business like this, I would have a salesperson. And I would have that salesperson constantly lining up new projects so that I didn't have any downtime. And the reason you're having downtime is because you don't have a full salesperson creating those kind of jobs. That'll also give you time because you don't have to go get the job to build a better relationship with the people you're doing projects for and get continuing work. I mean, the real solution is to divide the responsibilities between deeper penetration into your existing customers and new acquisition of customers. And a man cannot serve two masters, okay? Allison again, do you have any resources or recommendations on how to delegate and be a better leader? Well, I went to some seminars when I became a CEO, and I was trying to learn about how to be a better leader. And on delegation, what they said was if somebody else can do it 80% as effectively as you, do it. Delegate it. And so let's start there. But the second thing I'd tell you about delegation, Allison, is that when you decide what you're going to delegate, you don't have to be involved in it. What I see people do is they delegate it and then they still insert themselves into the process. Delegation means it's off your plate and on somebody else's. You know, when I was first the CEO, people would come in my office with a monkey on their back, and they would be trying to get that monkey off their back. In other words, they'd be trying to get me to do it or me to give them the solution to the problem. And so what happened was at the end of the day, I had an office full of monkeys. But what I learned was that whatever monkey they brought in the office, they left with it as well. And this will help you in leadership as well because it'll help you in developing your people. But in terms of delegation, don't take on their jobs. And also make sure when you delegate, you've washed your hands of it. And don't say this, well, it's just easier for me to do it myself than to teach somebody else how to do it. This is a death stroke for you as a leader and as a delegator. The right answer is take the extra time necessary to teach the person how to do it so that you never have to do it again yourself. Okay? Next, Adam McQueen. I am looking for advice on how to transition my business calls into an answering service that can do my scheduling. So to make a long story short for Adam, what he's doing is he is building a software business on the side. And so he works at it part-time, and he has a full-time job during the day, 5 days a week. So he can't really do demos or work with prospects during the day, and it has to be after hours or on the weekends. Now, this is a terrible way to build a business. It may be necessary. It may be necessary that he has to pay the bills and he can't afford to leave that job. But, I find that, unless you burn the boats, you're going to have a very difficult time building a successful business. The Spartans were the greatest warriors in history. When another Greek state asked for aid, the Spartans sent one soldier. And when the Greeks or the Spartans went to invade another country, when they brought their boats up onto the shore, they burnt the boats. They said, if we're going back in their boats, in the enemy's boats, or we aren't going back. And so it's sort of like that in business and as an entrepreneur. If you don't burn your boats, you're never going to have the kind of business that you could possibly have if you did. And yes, I'm all for you hiring somebody to book appointments for you. I'm all for hiring somebody for you to do the demos. But as the entrepreneur, no one will ever care as much as you. No one will have the passion that you do. And remember, selling is a transference of feeling. Okay? Now we have Stephen Davis. Hey, Stephen, looking forward to meeting you in person next week. Question they asked. First question, at what point do you think it is valuable for a company to implement a CRM? Well, when I read that question, I had an immediate answer pop in my head, and that is every company has a CRM. Sometimes it's on paper, sometimes it's on Excel, sometimes it's on Outlook. But every company has a CRM. That's a customer relationship management system. A customer relationship management system. And so what Stephen is asking is, should he upgrade what he's doing right now to a more formalized system? And, I can't answer that until I know more about his business. But he is a one-man business right now. And so, and what he's doing is Excel. And so probably for the short term, Excel is okay. But there are so many inexpensive client CRMs that it wouldn't hurt to upgrade from Excel to one of those. And, the one James uses is Pipedrive, and some of you others use that. But there are lots of inexpensive CRMs that you can use, and it'll help you be more organized if you're religious in using it. Here's the statistics. 63% of the businesses that have bought CRM have never fully implemented it. 63%. And so it sounds like a good idea, but if you can't make yourself do the work and the data entry and the analytics, then why bother to get it? So you can say you have a CRM, doesn't make any sense. Okay? Now, next question, still again from Steve. Do you think marketing giveaways are worth the investment? If so, would you make a minimal investment or insignificant investment? Well, I always think it works well to give away wine. Just kidding. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that most of the time giveaways don't make a big impact unless you are having them request the giveaway in order to get an appointment. So we go to a trade show, we put out a fishbowl, and we say, drop your card for an iPad, drop your card for a Big Bertha driver, something. And so when they do that, we get their card, and then we call them and say, hey, you won something at the Texas Bankers Trade Show, and we would like to drop it by your office. Would you have some time on Tuesday, say 9 or 11? And then when we go by, we get the appointment. And when we go by, we give them a jar of honey. And it's local honey. It's really good honey, but it's not the Big Bertha or the iPad. Giveaways can be used to entice meetings, but I don't think pins are a good idea. There's no product differentiation in that. There's no uniqueness in that. Steve and I wouldn't do that. Okay? Next. This is from Ty Green. Would you recommend finding top sales talent? Would you use some of the freelance sites or post a job locally? Well, the number one source of recruiting is your current employees. And so I would offer a reward to my current employees to recommend somebody for the job. Secondly, I'd place ads on Indeed and other websites advertising for the job. I would post on Facebook on my personal page, and I've done this before and I've hired people that way. I would post on my personal LinkedIn page, and LinkedIn is an inexpensive place to advertise for salespeople, and I've hired salespeople from there, so I would advertise on LinkedIn as well. So anyway, there's a whole process to hiring salespeople. If you've ever hired a salesperson without a profile of what you're looking for written out, and without a canned interview with questions that you pre-planned and pre-thought out, then you're not set up to hire a salesperson yet. You know, again, the sales system causes more people to be successful than if you wing it. McBond. Hi, McBond. This is a question McBond asked me on the phone yesterday or the day before. And the question was, how do I price my services? So if you're a contractor and you're listening to this, I wish you would talk to McBond about how you price your services, because I am not a contractor. But I have hired contractors in the past, and a common thing that I've heard is take whatever your costs are and add 15%. Now, that is for subs, but for other services that you're providing yourself, the workers you're paying, you probably should be marking those up 100% and just billing them either by the hour or by the job or by the materials, okay? So I hope that helps. Now, this is all the questions. When I started, I didn't think I would get through these in an hour, but I did. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited to help. So I'm going to jump on again at the first of next month. So send your questions in, and I'll be glad to answer them. All right. I look forward to seeing everybody at the next conference. Bye.